The next speaker is Simon Noakes from Noakes Nickolas in Adelaide. I only met Simon for the first time yesterday, and he struck me as an incredibly nice guy. Ivan saw me chatting to Simon, and I've said to me, that's the Alex Phillips of Adelaide. That's probably the best compliment you can get if your goal is to sell a lot of houses. So we're going to actually start with a video, and then I think you guys just after the video come straight on the stage. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Noakesy. Thanks, everyone. Just a heads up, we're going to have a break in about 20 minutes. So there'll be coffee and tea and fruit and things like that outside, and you can take a toilet break then. Noakesy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I feel a bit embarrassed with the line-up here today, but very grateful to be here, mate. So thank you.
Very, very humble of you to say that. Noakesy, for those who don't know, you became one of the best agents at Harris Real Estate, which most people would know in Adelaide. And about 4 or 5 years ago, you made the decision that you would start your own business. Is that right? 2.5, just under 3 years ago, yeah. Yeah. And I reckon your story is amazing. Just so you know, I'll share his story. I reckon he could be one of the most inspirational guys of what he's been through the last few years. So are we able to share that today?
Yeah, I'm open book, so ask whatever you like.
Yeah. So Simon rings me about 4 years ago when I was first living in LA, and he said, "Oh, look, my name's Simon Noakes. You don't know me, but I'm here with my friend Angelo Nickolas, and we're interested in having a conversation with you." And we're at Harris Real Estate, which I knew because I knew his old boss, Phil Harris, who'd spoken at Bressy Quinny a few times and spoken at ARIC and what have you. I said, "Sure, what do you want to talk about?" And so we're thinking of doing our own business. We've got to a certain level and we're thinking of starting our own business. And I said, "Good." So we had a session. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I really liked the guys. They're really, really good guys. And I said, "When do you think you're going to start the business?" And they said, "We're thinking next year." And I knew the numbers. Like I looked at the numbers. I thought, these guys are guns, right, in Adelaide. So we fast forward about 12 months, and what happened?
Yeah, so we had everything planned. It was not something we considered overnight. It was something we had in the works for probably the best part of 5 years. And everything was ready to go. We had a lease signed. All our marketing was done. Everything was just perfect. And it was 2 weeks before we were going to pull the pin at Harris Real Estate. And Angelo calls me on a Friday. I'll never forget it. And he says, and it was just really quiet and strange. And he said, "Mate, I've just been diagnosed with cancer." As a guy 30 years old. So from that moment, pretty much just everything changed. So, I don't really talk about it a lot, but I'll be open today. But it was, it was just...
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. It was a really difficult time because for so many reasons, like I didn't really know how to navigate what we were going to do, but Callan, the other director who's here today, we decided to start the business the foundation was mateship. It was just 3 great mates that wanted to go out and do something amazing together. So we were always going to wait for Ange, so we made the decision, as hard as it was, because I stayed at Harris a year more than I wanted to wait for Angelo to be ready mentally.
Yeah.
And then he obviously got diagnosed. So I
pushed it back 12 months.
And so we basically just said, look, whenever he's ready, his health is his priority. Everything else can wait. Life can wait. If we're going to do this for the next 50, 100 years, probably not 100 years, but if we're going to do this for the next 50 years, we wanted to do it together. So we waited 6 months, and then his health was still a bit uncertain, and then we waited 12 months, and then it was the end of, I think, 2021, and he made the decision to say, look, things are going to go one of 2 directions from here. They're either going to get better, and I don't want to miss out 6 months or 12 months of where we could be, or they're going to get worse, and I don't want to not do this. It's our dream. We obviously took the jump and did it, and I'm incredibly grateful. Obviously difficult what happened, but the fact that his name's there and I get to see my best mate every day it's a massive privilege.
So I had a dinner I was in Sydney, and I said to Angelo, he got asked to speak at ARIC, and I was in Sydney and he happened to be in Sydney, I think seeing doctors. And I said to him, do you want to catch up and have dinner? So we went and had dinner in Potts Point one night, and I think he was going to speak at ARIC a month later, if you remember.
Yeah,
and
he did speak at ARIC, yeah.
So he was relatively fine at that point. He was someone who didn't really talk about a lot. And sure enough, he spoke at ARIC, and, you know, they start the business. You then have a baby.
Yeah, so we started the business, and then 4 weeks, I think, later, me and my wife, Jordan, had our baby boy. So timing wasn't perfect, but, you know, we just did it and
Got on with it.
got on with it.
So obviously it was a worst case scenario for Angelo, for those who don't know, unfortunately. It was shared through the industry. I was working with Simon, and he had a lot of big questions and big things that he had to decide. Even the name. Does it stay Noakes Nickolas? Does it? And so, like, huge decisions. No, he never questioned it. He goes, no, it's going to be Noakes Nickolas, regardless. You know, whether Angelo makes it or not, it's going to be called Angelo Nickolas. So fast forward through that really difficult time. Newborn, he loses his best mate and co-founder 6 months later.
6 months, yeah.
6 months, which was awful. I hardly knew Angelo. It was really difficult for me. I could only imagine what him and the team went through. And so if you move forward from that, the fabric of the business has Angelo's name on it. And this is a really special business now because, as Simon says, Angelo will forever be part of that business moving forward. So I actually think in some ways, you know, God bless him, the fabric of Noakes Nickolas now in Adelaide wears that. No matter how hard real estate gets for your people, we've all witnessed our best friend and co-founder, you know.
Yeah, everything we do is really about his legacy now. So, yeah, we're a very tight group and we went through something pretty difficult together, and I think that, you know, just really just bonded us all, and, you know, we, I guess, ultimately just try to make him proud.
The business itself is smashing it. Like Bressy, when he's obviously done, I can say they're smashing it. So how many people in the business?
I think there's 44 now.
44 people in 3 years of business. 3 years of business. Hannah, how many sales did you guys do in September, the team?
Just my team alone, like Simon alone, I think did like 20.
And what about the whole business? 50? 60?
100.
Oh, 100?
Yeah, we do, yeah.
So in 3 years, round of applause. So he's been through all that. Everyone knows anyone who's had a kid knows how hard the first 12 months is. He's been through all that, and the thing with Angelo, which still lives with us today, and in 3 years he's made this an incredible business along with Callum. And hands up if you're at Noakes Nickolas, please. About 15 of you here today. Thanks, everybody. So let's just go. You start real estate pretty late at 27. How did you get so good as an agent? If we go back to being a really solid agent.
So yeah, I started late at 27. I did a couple of uni degrees, and, you know, probably did the 20s partying life and enjoying that side of things. And then I think that I was probably at a stage in my life where I was just ready to go all in on something. So I probably just had a pretty strong mindset from day one, and I had a clear vision of what I wanted and where I wanted to go, and, you know, every day, like McClay said, it was just consistency about how I just went about that. So,
how did you gain the traction? Because there's a lot of people here who 2 years in the business, 3, 4, 5 years. How long did it take you to gain the traction? How did you go about winning business?
Like, I think that everybody's different at different stages. So I wouldn't say exactly everyone, if you're 20 years old, you should replicate the way I did it. But, you know, I got in at 27. I felt all my mates had already kind of progressed their lives a lot forward. I was, you know, had nothing to my name, and I was just very much in that mindset. I needed to play catch up, so I couldn't fuck around, basically. So, you know, I just worked my absolute arse off. 7 days a week. I was up at 4 a.m. Dropping letters. I was in the office till 9 o'clock at night, smashing the phones. Saturday, Sunday, just relentless. And I think that, you know, like McClay said, it's like the consistency of doing that. Yes, you can do that for a week or a month or a year, but consistently, day in, day out, doesn't matter who was watching me, I was doing it because I had the vision of where I wanted to go. And then, yeah, just every day I just kept building and building and building until ultimately it compounds. Like, it's hard to see in that first couple of years as a young agent, and it's frustrating and it doesn't feel like you're going anywhere, but you are. You just can't see it at that moment.
Yeah.
So,
how long do you reckon that journey is? I didn't ask Macleay that, but how long do you think that journey is from becoming an agent to a higher level? And you're saying it's hard work, it's daily, it's a grind. How many years is that, in your view?
depends on the way you work, but I'd say these days, like, it is hard, like 3 or 4 years probably.
I think minimum.
Yeah,
I think
to
minimum.
get off the runway. Like,
Yeah.
it's competitive and it just takes time to get traction. And that's even probably still working in a great team, you know, let alone working in a not great environment. So you have to work in a great company, in a great team, and then obviously leverage that and work hard. And, you know, 3 or 4 years later, you should see some incredible results. Like a couple of my guys here that are here today, like, you know, Michael,
Zachy, Mike,
Jordan,
Jordan.
Zach.
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan, you know, 6 months ago, he was working in a team, and, you know, 12 months ago, he was not getting many listings. He just listed 18 properties last month.
Well done.
Which is just incredible. But it's the compounding of what he's done every single day for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It's showing the fruits now.
Are you enjoying business ownership?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's challenging, but I think that it gives me the fire in the belly that I really need, and we spoke about and why I did it. So it's, yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
Good on you. You spend a lot of time on your leadership now, which is really impressive with the team. So what are you coaching them and what are you training them? Because you do it, you're committed to training. So he's as busy as he is, and your average sale price has gone up a lot, I've noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I sell anything from 600,000 to 7 million. I mean, a lot of my properties are between 1 and 2 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty varied.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's humble. Simon's been getting listings between 4.5 and 6.5, which Adelaide, it's probably equivalent to, you know, the upper end here, 15 to 20, 10 to 20. So what are the important things you're teaching your guys? Because they seem to be having a lot of traction pretty quickly. It's a new business. What are you teaching them? Like,
I think that...
is it skills? Is it more calls? Is it open homes? Is it like buyer work? Is it door knocking? What do you think is the best form of prospecting, actually?
I'm a big believer the phones are the key.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that, look, there's many ways to make it in this business, and, you know, I've always gone on the belief that there's 5% of the industry that are absolutely unique and freaks, and they'll do it in their way, whether it's meeting people at the cafe or social media, that's fine. But I think 95% of the industry is successful with a pretty proven formula. Just like getting on the phones in the morning, 2 or 3 great listing appointments in the afternoon, giving great service value, and just influencing people why you're the right agent to sell with.
Biggest mistake young agents are making that you see now that you're at that level?
I think that it's probably just not seeing the big picture. You know what I mean? Just too short-sighted. Like, I get it, everyone wants to progress quickly, and everyone, you know, doesn't want to be rejected and have the down times. But, you know, to sit in a seat where you're Macleay or Phillips or any of these great people, like, none of them got there without years and years of pain and rejection. So I think that, sometimes someone who gets in this business doesn't actually realise the incredible gift we have to earn the income and have the lifestyle we have on the other side. And they can get too short-sighted and just not see the big picture of, like, just progress each day, learn, grow, do the right things consistently. And, you know, you may not get there in 1, 2, 3 years, but in 10 years, your life will be something pretty special.
Yeah, I reckon it's about a 10-year journey now. I think it's, from what I see, you can make some inroads up the mountain, year 1, year 2, year 3, and your skills can get better. But, like, if you really want to crack it, it's going to take you 8, 10 years. There's a guy I work with, Michael Kirk, like at Bressick Whitney. He's not here today, but, like, he's taken about 12 years, I reckon, to get to the very top. Now I think he's ranked number 4 at Bressick Whitney, but for 5 or 6 years he was just calling buys and stuff like that. And, you know, then he got this and that, and then he built, and now he's, like, you know, top 50 agent, and he's done really well. It's taken a lot of time. Who were your sort of mentors when you grew up, mate? We've only known each other 3 years, but when you grew up in the mid-20s, late
business?
20s, 30s, yeah. Like who were your stars? Who were your shining lights?
It's funny. I mean, it's funny because I'm sitting on this stage, and Phillips would know this, but 8 years ago, me and him flew over in a plane, and we met Phillips and sat with him, and he was kind enough to show us his office and environment. So he was incredible. Coombs, we met. We met a whole bunch of agents all over Australia that were, I think, super high performers. I think Sydney and Melbourne has always had some of the best of the best.
Yep.
I mean, Phil Harris, who we worked with, was incredible, and very much on the leadership front. I think massive for the industry. McGrath, like there was lots of people. I mean, I just love this business, and I'm as obsessive as I was 13 years ago as I am today. I'll listen to 2 or 3 podcasts every day on every single agent, a young agent and a very high-performing agent. I just love learning and just listening to how different people do it.
Work-life balance is something that everyone wants to talk about or try to figure out. I don't think there's a solution either in this industry, but what's your sort of view on work-life and the sacrifice versus the balance?
I've got to be careful because my wife's in the room here, so I might say something out of school. But look, I mean, I'm probably not the active, like I'm probably not the right person to say right now. I'm still learning and kind of, we've just had a baby a few years ago, owning a business, high-performing team. So I think I've just tried to put the right energy into the right places, and if I'm failing in certain areas, I think I'm conscious enough to know that I need to be better and put more energy there. I can't say I've ever got it right or perfect, and I'm still trying to understand how to do it. Like Maclay saying how he turns his phone, like that's just amazing. Like I wish I could do that, and I think that that's where I would love to go one day. Just be fully present at home, and then just be fully present at work. So, but yeah, I think you just do the best you can, and I think as long as you're consciously trying to get better in those areas, then that's all you can really do.
Yeah, I think that work-life balance is a tough one. It comes up all the time because you guys and girls work so hard. It's a 6-day-a-week job. You get hassled by clients on Sundays, and so it's really taxing. It's really, really taxing. And for those of you in your 20s, it's different. Your bandwidth is probably longer. Like I didn't need that many breaks in my 20s, maybe 1 or 2 a year, but I found later on in my career that every 8 weeks, 10 weeks, I was like, I need to get out of town and just pack a bag and, not speak to a buyer or seller for a couple of days. Maclay's really, or a year or 2. But I think Maclay's really good because Maclay's learnt to not care as much. We didn't speak about it, but Maclay's really good at not caring. Like he cares to a level, and like I went and had dinner with him 6 months ago, and he just he put it on silent. And at the end of dinner, it was about 8:30 in Bondi. He showed me he had like 15 messages and about 40 emails. I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, He goes, "No, I'm just going to leave it till tomorrow." Didn't even look at it, and he was able to just turn it off and go home. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He goes, "What am I going to do? Start calling people at 9 o'clock?" So I think that's really good. Mate, what's the journey for you guys like over the next few years? You've done a lot. By the way, there's 3 stages of every business. Okay, so there's the honeymoon phase, that when it opens, and that's a great time. I was speaking to Shannon Whitney about it a week ago. We recalled our first 5 years were probably the most fun. Then there's the middle phase, which is the adolescent phase. So you guys aren't there yet. You're still in that honeymoon phase. But then the business grows in most cases, and it goes from adolescence to a mature business. Like Bresic Whitney now is a mature business, 20 years old. These guys, Noakes Nickolas, have done exceptionally well. But you're still in your honeymoon phase, which has been a lot of fun, but you're getting close. Do you think you open more offices? Is that something that's on the cards? How do you work out? Because me and Shannon were just like, okay, we met Oddie, okay, let's do about we met McAvoy, that sounds good, Hunters Hill. How do you work out the direction you go?
There's a bit of like strategy, and then there's also a bit of organic. Like I've always just been a kind of person where if the right opportunity comes along and it feels right, we'll go with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to force something that I don't feel is the right direction for ego or for notoriety. Like I'm not the type of person that needs 10 offices. If I'm going to have the offices, they've got to be for the right reasons, with the right people. Yep. So, our growth is more very internal, trying to grow our people, recruit great people.
Yep.
And where that takes us, I guess, who knows?
Who knows? It's really impressive. They've got really good marketing, nice office. It's got a touch of Bressic, wouldn't it, to it, Noakes Nickolas?
Oh yeah, we've modelled it a little bit on it.
Mate, you're a legend. I really appreciate you and the team coming up today. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Noakes.
Thank you.